Today I'm letting every single team in Major League Baseball into the playoffs, and we're gonna find out who wins it all. Here's a look at our bracket, and I do want to preface that I'm recording this video about 3 days before the season actually ends, so I'm sure some things are definitely gonna change in the time it takes for me to get this video out, but just know this was really the only chance for me to get this video out on time. Starting in the American League, the Yankees have a first round bye, so we're starting out with the Twins and the Red Sox, and both of these teams have something to prove in this video because they both had very inconsistent first halves, and the Red Sox are striking first. As a Mariners fan, I know it sucks being right on the edge of the playoffs, so maybe this video could be a great redemption story for one of these teams, but Minnesota just got thrown out. That was an absolute rocket to end the inning, and now Tyler O'Neill gives us a ride, going deep into left center field, and it is over the fence for a home run. This is a pretty comfortable lead for the 9-seed Red Sox against the Twins, but with one on, Julian is going deep to the same spot as Tyler O'Neill, and there is no way the game is tied. It took 6 innings, but that was the play of the day. And the crazy thing is, up until this point, this had been a great game for Tanner Houck, but especially now that both starters are out, anybody could win this one. This is the exact type of nail biter I was expecting between two teams that are so close in seed, and this is do or die for Minnesota, who just got the tying run on first base. Now Max Kepler is their last chance, but he swings and misses for strike 3, so I apologize to all Twins fans, but what a game to start us off. Now we're going to go to the National League side for the same seeding matchup between the Cardinals and the Cubs, and in the bottom of the second, the Cardinals are going to strike first with an RBI single. However, they may not be done, as here comes another single that sneaks through the infield. Alec Burleson is rounding third, heading for home, where the throw comes in offline, but what an adjustment to get the out. The lackluster speed of Alec Burleson made that all possible, but now he's going to redeem himself, dropping an RBI single in the bottom of the fourth, and Sonny Gray is still putting on a show. Just like in the last game we saw, there is a 2-0 lead in the 7th inning, but this time a 2-run bomb is not going to save the Cubs, and now Gray is just 2 outs away from a complete game shutout. It was not a pretty game offensively, but Sonny Gray single-handedly got them the win, only giving up 2 hits, so we've officially eliminated one team in each league. We just saw dominant pitching, but now Tariq Skubal's facing the Blue Jays, and at the time of this recording, the Tigers are the 5 seed, but the wild card race is so close that could change at any point. No matter what, this team has been so fun to watch since the All-Star break, but hold on 1 second, they might get beat by Toronto. Skubal just gave up a no-doubter, and I definitely knew things would get weird putting every team in the playoffs, but this would shake things up considerably more than I imagined. Tariq has gotten absolutely no help from his team, as Torkelson just hit right into a double play, so I don't know what it is with 2-0 games, but the simulation's about to give us another one. However, there are no outs for Kerry Carpenter, and he's their best righty masher, but unfortunately, he is unable to get this one to drop. All I can say is buckle up and get ready, because this may be far from the weirdest game we see today, and there's no way the Tigers are still alive. They are down to their last out with runners at the corners, but unfortunately, this is not going to go very far, so the 12-seed Blue Jays pull off the shocker. Now on the National League side, this same matchup is between the Diamondbacks and the Pirates, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this was another upset just because of Paul Skeens. The Pirates also just hit a solo home run, so things are not looking good for Arizona, and they have a lot to prove, because even with Corbin Carroll's sophomore slump, they do not look like the team that won the National League last year. However, they did get even with a sacrifice fly, and now they have 2 singles in a row, so they have a chance to steal the momentum in this game, but there's a nice stop at third base. Can he get the throw there in time? He does. That just got Paul out of a very bad situation, and here is Cruz launching an absolute nuke into right field. So Pittsburgh is back on top, but it does not look like they're slowing down anytime soon. The bases are loaded with 1 out, and Joey Bart gets it done, singling up the middle. That will score 1 run, and here comes the second. I cannot believe how fast things have turned on Arizona, as their shortstop has a chance to make the play, but Gonzalez beats it out. It really felt he was in no rush to make that play, which gave up another run on top of a 3-run bomb from Brian Reynolds. This one's over. What an absolute meltdown from Zach Gallen, as the defending National League champs got curb stomped in a round 1 upset. Clearly, the MLB The Show sim engine woke up feeling dangerous, as we have 3 upsets in our first 4 games, and if somehow the Oakland A's manage to upset the Baltimore Orioles, I'm gonna submit an official complaint. However, no need for that after a first inning grand slam, but to my surprise, Oakland is not out of this game just yet. They have a very tough opponent, but they really want to bring a championship to Oakland to close out their time there on top, and even though that would have been a fun storyline, it's not gonna happen. No surprises here, Baltimore moves on, but it seems the National League game could be a little bit more interesting. No matter what happens for the Nationals, CJ Abrams is gonna come out a loser, because because I heard he lost a lot of money at the casino last night, and right on cue, Bogarts goes yard. That was a 3-run shot, followed by 2 more, so once again, CJ Abrams fell into a hole he could not get out of. After 2 decisive wins, we're halfway through the first round of matchups, but now we're moving on to one of our most interesting games yet. Even though Texas is the 11th seed, they are still the defending champs and have a lot of talent, but as you can see, the Royals just opened up with 2 home runs. That is quick work off of Jacob deGrom, but they just shot back with a 2-run bomb, so just like we expected, this is a close one. Texas has a man on third, but Langford strikes out, but this one stays tied after another strikeout. Both sides continue to strand runners in scoring position, but finally Josh Young delivers the go-ahead RBI, so KC needs a fast answer to get back in this, and this goes off the glove of Seager. We just saw Texas deliver an RBI single in this same scenario, but Salvi Perez is gonna one-up that, going deep for a huge go-ahead double. That was the biggest play we've seen all day, but it may not last long as the bases are loaded for Marcus Semien, who launches a grand slam into straightaway center. This game just keeps getting crazier as Marcus Semien comes up huge, and after scoring 2 more runs, I don't think Kansas City can come back. That is another upset in the books, and on the National League side, we have another very interesting matchup. Just like Texas, the 11 seed Reds were also disappointing this year, but they're going up against one of the hottest teams since the All-Star break. Cincinnati is off to a great start, scoring 2 runs, followed by a 2-run homer, so we continue to see unexpected results as they scored 3 more in the 4th inning. However, hope is not lost for New York, who scored 3 runs, but they have to capitalize with the bases loaded. Marte faces a full count, and there's the punch out, as that pitch was right on the edge, but ultimately cost them this game. Another round is done, and we saw 2 more upsets, but our next matchup should be even more lopsided than either of those, as the Astros start off strong. However, it seems that Mike Trout's knee magically repaired itself, so maybe that gives the Angels more of a chance as there is a home run. However, Diaz came right back with his 2nd of the game, followed by a 2-run shot from Singleton, so things are not looking good for Los Angeles, down 5 runs, but Mickey Moniak's double is gonna give them some hope. Mike Trout is their last chance, and he's 0 for 4, but unfortunately make it 0 for 5, so as expected, the Astros move on. Next up, we have Milwaukee versus Colorado, and to my surprise, it is tied in the 5th. Losing to a 13 seed would be very embarrassing, but so far, Cal Quantrill is pitching a very good game for Colorado. There are 2 aboard for Willy Adames, who finally helps this offense break through by driving in a run, and that puts 2 in scoring position for Joey Ortiz, but that is a great stop at first base. Can the throw get there in time? It does. That is going to keep the Rockies alive in this game, but they still need a big play, down 1 run, and here it is. Brendan Rodgers, a deep drive into left center, and it is gone. I cannot believe that just happened, as we're now very close to the biggest upset of the video so far, and to make this even more embarrassing for the Brewers, I just realized that Colorado is the 14th and not the 13th seed. They're down to their last out, and this embarrassing chase outside of the zone secures their fate, as this definitely takes the cake for the craziest round 1 upset yet. We're moving on to one of the more interesting matchups today, as the Mariners are up against the Rays, and both sides have already scored 1 apiece. However, Seattle has 2 aboard with only 1 out, and here comes Justin Turner, who shows off the power at 39 years old on this RBI double. These teams are very similar in the fact that they were both expected to make the playoffs, but cheap ownership and injuries did them real dirty, and there's a 3-run shot for the Rays. Then Seattle did what they do best, stranding runners, so even with Randy Arozarena on the other side, the Rays get the job done. At the time of this recording, the Braves still have not been eliminated from postseason contention, but in this video, they could have a real chance to make a deep run because Ronald Acuna Jr. magically grew a new ACL. Atlanta struck first with a sac fly, but they just stranded 2 runners on base, so this is still anybody's game. They're very lucky Spencer Strider has pitched a good game, but here comes an error that puts runners at the corners, so there's a huge chance for Acuna to cushion their lead, but he hits into a double play. Even then though, San Francisco had so many chances to get back in this game, but they simply never did, so Atlanta secured a very close 1-0 win. Now the 2-seed Guardians are taking on the worst team in baseball in the Chicago White Sox, and weirdly, thanks to Garrett Crochet, they might actually have a chance in this one. I was expecting a very quick simulation, but we're zeroed out in the 7th inning, at least until Tyler Freeman finally drives in the first run. Now that Crochet is out of the game as well, there is nothing stopping Chicago from showing their true colors, as they have the bases loaded with 2 outs, but unfortunately, this is a fly out. So to no one's surprise, one of the worst teams in baseball history is out. This is the final game of the first round, and I'm honestly not expecting the Marlins to do much of anything against Philadelphia, because it's been a great year for Bryce Harper and the Phillies, who just scored 4 more runs in the 7th to earn the most decisive win we've seen yet. That concludes the first round of games, and there were definitely some upsets I was not not expecting, and there's certainly more to come as the video continues, especially because the #1 seeds on each side are finally playing after a first round bye. The Red Sox and the Yankees is a very interesting matchup, which the Red Sox start out strong as they just scored not 1 but 4 runs in the first 2 innings. It seems the Yankees are in a bit of a slump after a first round bye, but that is nothing that Juan Soto and Aaron Judge cannot fix. These guys have single-handedly carried the Yankees offense the entire season, and they're going to need to continue to do that if they want to win in this video, as right now they're in danger of losing to the 9 seed Red Sox, especially after Rizzo left runners at the corners. While New York is finally getting runners on base, they are not sending them home, and Boston's trying to hold on in the 8th inning but gave up a nuke to Giancarlo Stanton. It all comes down to a 1-run game in the 9th inning, and the tying run is already on first base, so they just need to score him. All Volpe needs to do is get on base to bring up Juan Soto, but that is easier said than done facing Kenley Jansen. Here comes a steal. He is in there. That puts the tying run on second base with 2 outs, but they just hit him. That is a massive mistake from Jansen that brings up Juan Soto, and all of Yankee Stadium's holding their breath as Soto chases the high fastball, and the 1 seed New York Yankees have been eliminated. That was shocking, but now the Cardinals are off to a great start against the other 1 seed, as they've already hit a 2-run homer, followed by another one in the 4th inning. Tyler Glasnow has already been pulled from the game as run number 5 scores, and I don't know what it is with these low-seeded teams, but they're putting up a massive fight. I already know I'm gonna get a ton of comments accusing me of rigging this video, even though I'm literally just simulating, but I guess if your favorite team loses in a YouTube video, it has to be my fault. By the way, this is the 2nd shutout that Sonny Gray has pitched in a row, so he's been the MVP of this video, and he is the big reason the Cardinals are moving on to the next round as both 1 seeds are eliminated. In round 1, the Toronto Blue Jays shocked us by taking down the Detroit Tigers, but now they're up against another playoff opponent in Baltimore. Making it to the finals as a 12 seed is going to be anything but easy, but there's a 2-run shot, and Jose Barrios has only given up 1 hit so far. This is very impressive, but Baltimore just tied the game, so this is anybody's game as Toronto has 2 on, but there's a double play to end the inning. It feels like only a matter of time before Baltimore's offense fully wakes up, and at that point, Toronto is going to be in trouble, as runners are at the corners with only 1 away, and this deep flyout is going to give the Orioles their first lead of the ball game. The Blue Jays are starting to fall apart as runners are at the corners again, so they have a chance to extend their lead, but fortunately for Toronto, that is not going to happen. It is do or die for the Blue Jays, but their offense has been non-existent ever since that 2-run shot, but at least they get the tying run on second base. This avoids a double play, but Kirk strikes out looking, so it is all up to their 9-hitter, who's faced with a full count. If he walks, they're back to the top of their order, but he's going to do even better than that, driving in the tying run. What a play from Addison Barger to finally score another run for Toronto, and even though Baltimore's going to have the chance to walk it off, we could go to extras for the first time. It looks like Cedric Mullins is trying to bunt to advance the runner to second base, except he actually beats it out, so with 0 away, things are suddenly not looking good for Toronto, but here comes a double play. That is going to put a ton of pressure on Gunnar Henderson, who nearly ended the game, but it goes foul, and even though the runner's only on third base, he is unable to score him, and we're going to extra innings. The 12 seed Blue Jays are not going away, as they're looking to strike first in the 10th inning, but unfortunately, that is a double play. Both sides have missed out on chances to win this game, as the Orioles leave a runner on third base once again, and that is exactly why this has been the longest game in the video, but it could be coming to an end soon, as here is an RBI triple. The bottom of this Toronto lineup has come up big, not once, but twice. However, now Adley Rutschman's trying to end it, going deep to left center field, and that one has the distance for a walk-off 2-run shot. They just had to make this a dramatic win after stranding 2 runners on third base in a row, but finally, one of the best games of the video is over. Baltimore just barely avoids embarrassment, but now we have a battle between 2 playoff teams, and the higher seed Padres are looking to strike first, which is exactly what they do with the bases loaded on this 2 RBI double. These are the 4 and 5 seeds, so this is very likely the closest matchup we'll see today, but unlike what we saw from Baltimore in the last game, the Padres are making sure they get off to a fast start as a Manny Machado 2-run shot makes it 5-0. It really feels like all the games that should be close end up being blowouts and vice versa, and right after Baltimore tried very hard to lose, San Diego decimates Arizona. After eliminating so many teams in round 1, we're already halfway through the matchups in round 2, but I'm definitely excited for this next game because it's a rematch of the ALCS. Houston struck first, and Taveras nearly scores the tying run, but unfortunately, he went foul and then struck out, so there are 2 outs with runners at the corners, and there's another strikeout. It's early in the game, but that can make all the difference, especially because in the 3rd inning, they left 2 more runners runners on base. That is not a way to win baseball games, but they finally scored on a sac fly, so we're tied at 1 apiece in the 5th inning, but now the Astros are gonna leave runners at the corners. However, they broke the tie with a solo shot in the 7th, and to make things worse for Texas, they just loaded the bases. Some insurance runs would give Houston a huge advantage, and there's no way. Diaz drifting foul. He really thought he had it, but instead the inning is over, and instead of a grand slam to secure the win, it is still a 1-run game. There are also 2 runners in scoring position for the Rangers, but Corey Seager cannot score any of them, so now if they want a chance, they need to hold Houston, which they successfully do, and this 2-1 game is all going to come down to the 9th inning. These teams always face off in my MLB imperialism videos, and it is a blast every single time, as the defending World Series champs are down to their last out, but this flyout secures the win for Houston, who will officially move on to round 3. Now we have a very unlikely underdog matchup between the Cincinnati Reds and the Colorado Rockies, and it's crazy to think that one of these teams is going to be playing in the 3rd round. I was expecting the Cincinnati offense to come out on fire, but instead the Rockies are leading by 5 runs. But hang on just 1 second, they're going to make it interesting by scoring 5 runs in the 7th to tie it up. I was ready to announce the 14 seed Rockies were moving on, but Cincinnati had other plans, and while this could go to extra innings, the Reds have a chance to walk it off, and Elly De La Cruz's single is going to do exactly that, as they scored 6 unanswered runs to survive against Colorado. Apparently there are no normal games in this video, and I am very excited for the final 2 matchups of this round. To start things off, the 10 seed Tampa Bay Rays are going up against the Guardians, and they struck first with 2 runs before Cleveland struck right back to tie it. Remember that both 1 seeds have already been eliminated, so the Guardians and the Phillies are the best teams left in this thing. And after Cleveland took their first lead of the day, Yandy Diaz is going to hit this more than deep enough for a sacrifice fly. It has been push and pull all day long for both sides, but Tampa has the chance to break this game wide open with loaded bases. It is all up to Brandon Lowe, who swings on the 1-1 pitch. Are you kidding me? Watching it fly deep, and that is a massive grand slam to give Tampa Bay the lead. First it was the Yankees and the Dodgers, and now the 2 seed Guardians are on the verge of elimination, and I knew that putting every team into a 1-game playoff series would cause trouble, but I never expected this. The Phillies are the best team left in this tournament, but they certainly have their hands full with the Atlanta Braves, who not only scored 4 runs in the 2nd, but 2 more in the 3rd. If Philadelphia loses, then every 1 and 2 seed has been knocked out in this round, but there's no need to panic because the bases are loaded. However, there are now 2 outs. Unless Nick Castellanos is up on the day of a tragedy, Bryce Harper is the best option here. However, he flies out, so the Phillies still trail by 2 runs, and the Braves just put this away. As we've seen all video long, that is another upset, and looking at our bracket, all I can say is MLB The Show is off its rocker today. The Boston Red Sox already beat the Yankees, but now they need to take down the Baltimore Orioles. But if you remember, the Orioles needed a walk-off 2-run shot to beat Toronto, so anything's possible. Baltimore has runners at the corners, and they are gonna strike first thanks to this wild pitch that gets away from the catcher Connor Wong, and it seems that mistake is only gonna lead to more trouble for Boston, who were unable to overcome a 6-run deficit. That is the Baltimore offense we've expected all video, and they put it together to be the first team to make it into our Final 4, which I guess is more like the ALCS. Now it's the 9 seed Cardinals up against the 4 seed Padres, and St. Louis just scored the first run. Out of every team, I think their performance has been the biggest shock to me, as Paul Goldschmidt right on cue goes yard, and in every single game they've played, they've done crazy things just like this. It's also worth mentioning that Sonny Gray has been on fire on the mound, and I think this home run to Fernando Tatis is the first one he's given up all video long. The Padres also just tied the game, so this one is very interesting, but there's a Brendan Donovan double. Both of these teams have had great runs in this tournament, so it's no surprise this game is as close as it is, but if the Padres want any chance to move on to the next round, they cannot allow a run here. There are 2 aboard for Tommy Edman, but he is not going anywhere, and after a walk and a steal in the bottom of the 9th, the tying run is on second. It is all going to come down to Xander Bogaerts, who has an 0-2 count, but grounds it straight to win, and this game is over. The St. Louis Cardinals move on to the NLCS, and I really can't believe they're going to be competing to go to the World Series. That was a 9 seed upsetting a 4 seed, and now the Tampa Bay Rays are trying to do the same thing against Houston, as we're in the 6th inning, and it seems we have another 1-run game on our hands. However, the Astros just scored 2 more, but the Rays are going to come right back. Just like we've seen all video long, right when it seems like one team is pulling away, the other makes it as close as possible, and not only could Tampa tie it back up, but they could pull ahead as well. They would really have to choke to come up empty with the bases loaded and 0 outs, as even that soft chopper from Caballero was enough to score the run, and now here's a go-ahead sac fly. Suddenly, things are not looking good for the Houston Astros, especially after another Tampa run, but Jeremy Pena is going to come up with a solo shot. So we have another one-run game in the bottom of the ninth, but Kyle Tucker grounds it straight to Caballero, which means that the 10-seed Tampa Bay Rays have upset the 3-seed Houston Astros. I cannot believe some of the results we've gotten in this video, but it's made it pretty fun, and we're already down to 5 teams as the Reds are taking on the Atlanta Braves. They lead by 1, but Elly De La Cruz just made it a 3-run game, and to my surprise, they made quick work of Atlanta for one of our fastest games today. The final 4 teams have been decided, and the crazy thing about this is only one of these teams made the playoffs in real life, and that is the Baltimore Orioles, who are going up against the 10-seed Tampa Bay Rays. We were scoreless until the bottom of the 4th, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that Anthony Santander home run was the only exciting thing that happened in a game where Tampa Bay's offense fell apart. I was wondering if we were going to see a World Series between 2 low-seeded teams, but instead, Tampa Bay's Cinderella story is over, and we're going to see the NLCS between the 9-seed Cardinals and the 11-seed Reds. It is very fitting that the 9 and 11 seeds are playing in Busch Stadium, and it did not take long for the Cardinals to get on the board as they have loaded bases in the second, but with 2 outs, Mason Wynn strikes out swinging. That means it is only a 1-0 game for the Reds, but as you can see, that did not last long. Paul Goldschmidt goes yard, and just as we continue to see, Sonny Gray is having an absolute pitching clinic. I'm just gonna be real, Baltimore should be completely terrified of this team because they just combined an electric offense with a shutout performance. This is gonna come down to the Baltimore Orioles versus the St. Louis Cardinals, and since Baltimore is the higher seed, they're gonna host the game. I feel like being on the road is only gonna add to the Cardinals' underdog narrative, but they need some magic from Sonny Gray, who just gave up a 2-run shot in the second inning. They are also hitless through 4 innings, so I'm starting to wonder if their magic has worn off, but here are 2 walks followed by a very clutch double. Just when we thought they were down, they pull this back in, and Tommy Pham delivers the go-ahead double. That is their 3rd run of the inning. Even as a 9 seed, this team is built completely different, and on the mound, Sonny Gray continues to do his thing with another scoreless inning. Meanwhile, Baltimore is trying to avoid a huge upset in the big game, but they gave up another run, so they essentially have 2 innings to score 2 runs. On the bright side, Baltimore is not facing Sonny Gray, but that might not matter because Andrew Kittredge is making them look silly, and what a play from Paul Goldschmidt to save a single. I don't even know how old he is, but he is putting his body on the line as the Cardinals are gonna make it to the 9th inning where Santander just made this a little bit more interesting. Adley Rutschman could be the final out of this game, but this is significant because if you remember, he came up with the big walk-off against Toronto, and that's the only reason Baltimore is here. He is gonna keep the game going a play longer, but unfortunately for Baltimore, Ryan Mountcastle pops it up, and in a video full of upsets, it is the St. Louis Cardinals who become the World Series champions in a league where I put all 30 MLB teams into the playoffs. Thank you so much for watching this video. This was really just a fun project to release right around the time of the MLB playoffs, so I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, drop a like on this video, subscribe, and of course, click right here to see more of my content.